Hello everybody, this is Jessie from IamSoCrazy.com, that's S-E-W crazy, and today I am talking about the ruffler. Now I am about to use this crazy looking presser foot to make some ruffles in the mermaid tail portion of a wedding dress I'm working on, so that will be fun. The way it works is this little metal fork right down here will go forward and backward as the needle clamp screw goes up and down, just like this, and it'll kind of push the fabric under the needle into little tucks, and the machine will sew over it and lock the little tucks into place. And this part right here goes over the presser bar when you install it on your machine, and then this little cup-shaped fork is going to go around your needle clamp screw, and that's what will allow the foot to work. So here I have it installed on the machine, and this little plate that I'm messing with right here will determine how many stitches the machine takes before it makes another ruffle. So here it says 12, that means it'll take 12 stitches before it ruffles. Here it says 0, and of course that means it won't ruffle at all. And then the middle one is 6, and the one all the way on the right is 1, so it'll take a ruffle for every stitch it makes. And then this little adjuster right here is how you decide how deep your ruffles are, how much fabric it takes up every time it makes a ruffle. So there's a little S and an L on the side. That stands for short and long. So you can adjust it to whatever fullness you want in your gathers. And you can see here I have the little cup-shaped fork going around the needle clamp screw just like this. And you want to put the fabric under the little metal fork here. Those other zigzag-shaped pieces of metal are there for guides. Depending on how you're sewing, you may or may not want to actually use those. So here I'm going to demonstrate that you can use the ruffler to make everything from an easing stitch like you might use on a sleeve cap, all the way up to a very deep, aggressive ruffle that is close to being a pleat. The things that will affect how ruffled your fabric ends up being are the little plate on top that says 0, 12, 6, and 1. That's kind of the first thing you want to adjust. And then the little dial down below that says S and L, that makes a really big difference too, so you want to fiddle with that. But your stitch length matters a lot too. If the feed dogs are taking a bigger bite of fabric, then your ruffles will be a little bit less aggressive. And so that's another way that you can get the results you want. And your stitch tension matters a little bit. That's not really something that you should be adjusting to change the depth of your ruffle, but it does matter. A tighter stitch tension will tend to draw the fabric up just a little bit tighter. And the last thing I want to mention about using the ruffler is that you cannot sew backwards with the ruffler on your machine. So I know it's a habit, but don't back tack at the beginning and end of your ruffling stitches like you would for a seam. And when you're positioning the fabric, just pull it forward and to the left. Don't try to tug it backwards if you need to adjust it. For the project that I'm working on, which is the mermaid style wedding dress, I'm going to be using the ruffler to adjust the fishtail portion of the skirt so that it fits exactly with the bottom of the skirt piece that stops at the bride's knees, so that I can sew the two pieces together and have the fishtail very puffy and gathered and flaring out, and have the skirt very fitted and demure. And I'm going to be making a quarter-sized sample to test my ruffler foot settings. And by quarter-sized sample, I mean that I have measured the actual fishtail and the actual bottom of the skirt piece where it stops at the bride's knees. And I've divided both of those measurements into 4 so that I can work with a smaller scrap, because A, I don't have enough fabric. This is a restyled wedding dress that belonged to the bride's mother, so I can't really work with a full-size sample. And B, a full-size sample isn't really necessary, and it's just going to be harder to work with. It's going to take longer, so quarter size is great for this project. So I have the fishtail measured and divided into 4, and I marked 2 reference marks on this scrap of satin fabric that are that distance apart, 1/4 the fishtail. And I know that once I gather the fabric between these 2 marks to equal 1/4 of the skirt measurement, then I will have the settings exactly right on my ruffler. So once they measure 8 3/4 inches, then I know that I am golden. And the scrap, it's important to point out that the scrap is made of the same material as the fishtail is, so I know that it'll behave the same way and gather the same way. And look at that, 8 3/4 inches. It only took me 3 tries. And if you want to check out the rest of how I made this wedding dress, if you want to see how it turned out, I have linked my blog post about it in the description box below. And if the math on the quarter size sample is a little bit confusing the way I've explained it, I have it all written down there. It'll probably make more sense if you see it written down. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Now go make something awesome.